take projection.
It's Friday morning, and you know what that means. It's time for another episode of the Alabama Slam podcast. I'm your host, Corey Hanna.
What's going on, guys? It's Patrick Akers.
And we are not on our normal Wednesday. We're back to Friday for this week. We both had a couple different things going on, so we're just now getting to record on Thursday evening.
There's too much wrestling and too much life happening at the same time.
Yeah. Like Patrick had some life stuff Tuesday night. I had some life stuff Wednesday night. And I'm going to be real honest. I don't know how much wrestling I'm going to get to watch all the way through. I may have to be fast forwarding a lot of stuff for the month of October because October is jam-packed for me, but I'm going to do my best at keeping up. So let's go. I mean, let's get into it. You know, we got a ton of stuff to cover. WrestleDream was last week. You know, a bunch of stuff happened in WWE, but we're going to start with WrestleDream, and because that needs to lead into a couple other things that kind of popped off in the last couple of days. So we'll just jump right into it. The Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship 2-on-1 handicap match with MJF versus The Righteous. An interesting angle to take on this one, you know, with Adam Cole fucking himself up, jumping off a ramp a couple weeks ago.
Perhaps, maybe. Who knows? It could all be a ruse.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's hurt, maybe he's not as hurt as badly as what he is, but we'll get into that when we talk about Dynamite. I thought the opening match was great. I mean, again, it just shows MJF's versatility. He can wrestle an Iron Man match and be serious when he needs to be.
Or he can get over a fucking body slam.
My man has gotten over a body slam and a damn kangaroo kick, which is just a front double drop kick. And the crowd is popping like he's doing a damn 450 to the outside. I mean, this dude is a special talent. We say it every single week. He kind of took a little bit of offense. I don't know if you saw the press conference, but somebody asked him, or it was reported, I guess, he got wind that someone called this match a comedy match. And basically he was like, you know, there's different flavors of ice cream when it comes to wrestling, and I'm just trying to do a different type of flavor.
Yeah, I did see that.
You saw that? Yeah. I mean, he's got an old school mentality, and the things that he does inside the ring, he really makes it mean something. And it's kind of cool, you know, across AEW, there's a lot of different stories that are happening, but it's all centered around only a handful of people, right? MJF has his thing going on with Bullet Club Gold and Adam Cole. Adam Cole has MJF and Roderick Strong.
Next Strong, baby.
Next Strong, which continues to be fantastic.
I got to get a shirt.
And then you have a guy we'll talk about, Adam Copeland, is embroiled in this thing. Christian Cage, they have their thing going on. Bullet Club Gold has a thing with MJF. Like, all the big stars have multiple little offshoots, but the show is all kind of centered around really a handful of people. And I think it's made it, honestly, a better show. And AEW, I know the ratings haven't signified this, but it's been a better show than anything WWE is doing, to me personally, with the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and it may be the 3-hour, you know, Monday Night Raw that kind of by the end of that second hour, sometimes I'm taken out and I'm like, I know I still got the main event.
Well, and WWE's not playing with a full deck right now, right?
Yeah,
because Roman Reigns is not.
He's
on
not
the
there.
card.
A lot of injuries happening right now in WWE.
And so they're kind of like, they're really the two companies have kind of swapped places, because AEW was in this position 3-4 months ago, where WWE was kind of on fire. And especially at the beginning of this year, right? When you still had the Sami Zayn stuff that was happening in January, like WWE was on a roll and AEW felt like it was kind of stagnant, spinning its wheels. And now the roles have kind of reversed a little bit, where WWE they're clearly waiting to get to like Survivor Series, right? That's why you're seeing like Fast Lane, which we'll talk about. There's matches on there that are just kind of
There's some good ones.
There's some good ones, but you don't expect, like, Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes is not happening at this thing. And that is the thing that with at least the Universal title that it feels like we're trying to get to.
Yeah.
So
I had actually even kind of forgotten. We were talking right before we recorded. Kind of forgotten about Fastlane because we're probably going to be at the New South show Saturday night. I didn't even think about it. I was like, what?
Yeah, and I'm sure there'll be some things that'll pop off in Fastlane that we'll talk about next week. But just a little off the top. Feels like the two companies have kind of switch places here, gone back and forth. And that's why you have choice, right? That's why you have options. But yeah, I thought WrestleDream as a whole was good, and I thought the MJF match at opening was a solid opening to it.
So, friend of the show, Stephen Eford, sent us a text and a group message, and I was quite frankly a little too busy to respond to it yesterday, but he was like, what are you saying about the Righteous if you let them lose a handicap match? I mean, on the one hand, I get your point. Like, they've been trying to build them up a little bit, and they've gotten a lot of TV time and promo time and everything else. But at the same time, you still got Max out there, like one of the best, if not the best in the world right now.
I mean, he's the biggest star in that company. Yeah. So, like, for as much as the Righteous have gotten TV time, they've only really gotten TV time to kind of service this.
Right.
I wouldn't anticipate to see a lot of them going forward on Dynamite or Collision. They'll probably go back down to Ring of Honor and be stalwarts on that show. This was just kind of to get them on par so that they feel like they're at least capable of challenging MJF. And of course, they were never going to. MJF and Adam Cole are not going to lose those titles anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, we'll get to them a little bit more too, I think. But let's shift gears to Ring of Honor World Champion and in New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight Champion Eddie Kingston versus the Pure Champion Shibata.
So I thought that this was for all the titles last week, which I'm a dumbass because the Ring of Honor Pure Championship has its own set of rules. It can't just be, it has to be defended in a pure match. So I got that. I'm sure there was somebody that was listening that was like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. The Pure Championship has only a certain amount of rope breaks and stuff.
I fucking missed that too. Yeah.
This match was also, I thought, really good. It is what we thought with Shibata, who was a stalwart of Japanese wrestling, and Eddie Kingston, who is a fan of Japanese wrestling. It was stiff. It was hard hitting. Chops galore. Eddie Kingston now. 2 good wins under his belt as the Ring of Honor World Champion. And I even called on the microphone when he hit him with the finisher and was pinning him. He gave a little thank you to Shibata that the mic picked up.
Oh, really? Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah. I mean, the question with Eddie Kingston is always going to be what's next for him.
Yeah. Did you catch his little after thing?
Yeah.
He's like, I just want a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Was it a cheeseburger? Right?
It was a cheeseburger, yeah. This is like AEW. This is kind of what they do, right? They're a smorgasbord of a lot of different type of stuff, and it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. The Kingston Shibata match is not going to be everybody's cup of tea. The Danielson Zack Sabre Jr. match we'll talk about, that's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Some people don't want to see intricate train wrestling and swapping octopus stretches and that kind of stuff. But if you are into that kind of stuff, or if you're just into different type of wrestling, they're trying to be an alternative. I think that they're thinking of AEW trying to take over WWE and be mainstream wrestling. I think that dream kind of died when Cody Rhodes left. I think partly that he kind of saw the writing on the wall that I'm interested in one thing and the other people that are in management are interested in being something else, and it's just not a good fit anymore. AEW just wants to be an alternative.
Yeah, I never really thought that it would be hard competition, but it's definitely a good alternative.
Yeah. They want to be A24.
Yeah.
They're not trying to be Disney. WWE is trying to be Disney. And you need that for it to be a good art form.
Sure.
We'll talk about that.
But you don't get titty slaps in Disney.
You don't get that. Yeah, gosh, she's so great. Yeah, but we'll talk about her.
We'll get there. So next up, TBS Championship match: Chris Statlander versus the House of Blacks, Julia Hart. I mean, shout out Julia Hart because she took a nothing character in her cheerleader character with the Varsity Blondes.
Yeah.
And she got, hit with the mist and had a transformation. And her costume, her ring gear, her presence, her wrestling. I mean, everything about Julia has taken a turn for the better since she's been with the House of Black.
She's really got that character dialed in. And yeah, she put on a good showing in this match too. I mean, obviously she's still young. She still has a long way to go. I don't even know if she may be 23, 24. I mean, like, the sky's the limit for her. And it was a good showing in this match. And, Statlander looked good too, as well as the TBS champion. So we'll see who challenges next for that title.
I just hope that Chris can stay healthy, because she was one of my favorites before the first time she tore an ACL.
Yeah.
That she tore the other ACL.
Yeah.
I just hope she can stay healthy, because I think she's got a lot of potential with this company.
And I hope they give her somebody that can really feud with her and have a good long feud. They've done the thing now. She's kind of bounced around opponents. They brought Jade Cargill back just to lose to her before Jade went over to WWE. And she had this mini program, I guess is the best way to describe it, with Julia Hart. So yeah, let's get somebody in here. I think a woman who was also on this card, Athena from Ring of Honor, would be a really good opponent for her to kind of do something with a little bit. You can kind of play it over on both shows, but we'll see what they do with Statlander. But yeah, Julia Hart, that character is great, and it looks like she missed it. Sky Blue. Sky Blue came out Wednesday night with the black eyes, like the mist had gotten. I don't know. They could be gearing up to do a women's tag team title. And if that's the case, that would not be, that gives other women something to do. Do you want another title on that show? I don't know, but it seems weird to have.
You really only have 2 women's titles, right? I mean,
yeah, there's the women's championship and the TBS championship.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be cool because, like, there's a lot of talented wrestlers on that roster that are women. I mean, it'd be something else. Because we've talked about the highs and lows of the booking of the women's division, and there's been some highs this year and there have been some lows, but that would give somebody like a Willow Nightingale something else to do.
Willow, the Bunny, obviously Julia Hart, Sky Blue gives them something to do. I mean, yeah, it's another title they can kind of chase. I mean, obviously, listen, every title can't be the most important title, right? It's not how it goes. But you can, I think, present it in a way where it feels impactful to the people who are holding it and the people who are challenging for it. But again, that just comes down to the booking.
Yeah.
We've always felt that the problem with the AEW women's division has never really been the talent. It's been the direction that they've been put in to go.
So Julia's probably got a week or 2 off. She just got married. This weekend. Congratulations, Julia. And Lee, right?
Lee Johnson.
Yeah. Congrats, y'all. That's awesome. Next up, AEW World Tag Title Contender match with the Guns, the Young Bucks, Lucha Bros, and Hook and Orange Cassidy. Newfound tag team there. I'm not sure how long that'll keep up. That's an interesting pairing. So, a lot of shit going on in this match. These matches are always a little insane to try to keep up with. And it's in my opinion nothing more than a way to get some of your more entertaining people on the card if you don't have anything specifically for them.
I mean, this is at this point, this is like this staple AEW match, right? Yeah. The multi-man, the 6-man.
Like if you weren't into Kingston and Shibata, this is probably for you.
Here's 8 dudes flying around the ring. Again, it's something else. And I mean, shout out again, Steve. And he kind of said, should Orange Cassidy and Hook, should they have won? I don't know. Not a bad. I mean, do we want to do, because the Young Bucks won this match, right? Do we want to do FTR and Young Bucks again so soon?
So soon. It's like it seems like it's always up between like the Luchas and the Bucks, are kind of always in the top 3 to 5.
Yeah.
At all times, like I could see Hook and Orange, I could also see the Guns again at this point because, they kind of had a cheap little run with their title the first time, right?
Yeah.
So, now with some of the heat they got going on, like in Bullet Club Gold, would it be a bad idea to put it on them? so that there's some belts inside that faction.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but Hook and Orange, I think, is a good idea too. Shout out, Steven.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I just don't know if I would have done FTR and the Bucks so soon after doing it.
I don't know if I want to see it again this soon. I mean,
it needs to be a part of a larger story, I think, which is probably what they were going to do if old Mr. Phil Brooks had not put himself in the situation he put himself in and got exited from the company.
We got a problem here.
Yeah, I just think a fresh new pairing, because like you said, this tag team scene has been dominated really since the inception of AEW by the Young Bucks and by the Lucha Brothers. And so to infuse it with a little bit of newness with Cassidy and Hook would have been nice. And also it would give Hook some more ring time, but maybe that's why they decided not to do it, because Hook is still limited in his abilities as a wrestler because he's so young.
Yeah.
But you would have a guy like Orange who could handle the bulk of the load. But now this match was, again, I mean, it was like you said, shit going on everywhere. Classic AEW match at this point. So yeah, we'll get Young Bucks and FTR4. You got to think that that's going to happen at Full Gear at the Kia Forum.
Yeah, they haven't officially announced it yet, but you got to assume.
I mean, that's
what's going to happen.
That's what they'll do.
So next up, my phone just went black for a second. Probably the most anticipated match for you and I, Hangman Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland. This one was two of our favorites. And probably, like I said, this was one that both you and I were looking forward to. And it's in a weird spot in the card for me, but didn't disappoint whatsoever.
No, Swerve looked like an absolute star. The Prince Nana dance continues to just be entertaining as hell.
I mean, it didn't hurt that they're in Swerve's backyard.
And again, yeah, he's got a home field advantage. Hangman Page worked heel in this match a little bit because of that, because the fans were clearly in Swerve's corner with him being the hometown guy.
In his doo-doo brown britches.
Yeah, I got new gear. Swerve, man, I say it every time I watch this dude. There is nobody in wrestling that moves around the ring the way that guy does. He's so unique.
It's a little bit of like, it's not just the swagger, it's the motions and the fluidity, right?
Yeah, and it's like a fluidity, but it's like, I think I've compared him before. Like, if you're a basketball fan watching Ja Morant for the Grizzlies, there's like this herky-jerky kind of stop and go where no one in the NBA can stay in front of Ja Morant. Like, if he's going to go to the basket, he's going to the basket. Swerve has this similar type of ability where he's popping off the ropes. And in this match, he did this thing that I've never seen before where he like slammed Hangman down and then did like a halfway cartwheel and grabbed his arm at the same time and came up in one motion and hit him with a suplex. Just insane athletic ability. He's also bulked up quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at a picture of him now compared to 6 months ago, I don't know, 15 pounds probably, easy. Mostly in the upper body too, where he looks like a real heavyweight. Again, but he hasn't lost any of the quickness. That house call.
I mean, if you're going to come out and tell Hangman it looks like he's been eating well, then you better not look like a scrub yourself. Yeah,
that house call kick is one of my favorite moves in wrestling right now. The stomps looked incredible. I'll ask you this question though, because watching this match, I was like, I felt like that should have probably been the finish. Should Swerve have just beaten Hangman clean in the middle of the ring?
If I were writing it, yes.
Because I know that Swerve is a heel, and heels cheat to win. Obviously, I get that, but like, part of this Hangman story, too, is that Hangman has lost a little bit of his fire that he had when he was champion. That's what Swerve was calling him out on. And there was that spot where Hangman Swerve did the kick to Hangman's arm, right? He rolls out to the apron. Medical's checking on him. Swerve hits him with the stomp.
Yeah.
Puts him back in, hits him with a kick. I felt like, and the crowd thought that was going to be a finish too. I mean, it was a nice false finish in the match. But it kept going for a couple more minutes, and just watching it, I was like, I felt like that probably should have been it. Because then it's a built-in story for everybody. Swerve can say, listen, clean in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. Like,
didn't need to cheat.
Yeah, you don't have the type of fire anymore that you need to have, and I'm coming for everything. I'm coming for the title. And then you give Hangman a redemption arc when you put him off TV a little bit, and then he can come back and be like, damn, I don't have what it takes anymore. I need to find myself again. And maybe you switch it up. Maybe you make Hangman maybe Hangman comes back as a heel. I mean, I know he's the 6-man champions, Ring of Honor champions with the Young Bucks at this point, but I don't know. I mean, obviously the finish work too with Prince Nana. I mean, that's a classic type of thing, but yeah, shout out to Swerve, and we will see what happens next with him. But if I'm Tony Khan, wherever I have on my tier list, tier 1, I have the Moxleys and the Danielsons and the MJF. I put Swerve right up there with all those guys. He's a guy that I would build my future of my company around. Yeah,
it's a good problem to have. There's a lot of good wrestlers on the AEW roster these days. I mean, if I were picking which company, WWE or AEW, which roster I enjoy the most, right now I'm going AEW.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
WWE's got guys too. They got stars.
Yeah.
It's just two different types of ways to do pro wrestling.
There's only a couple of people in WWE I'm really invested in, though. And there's a whole bunch of them in AEW.
I think, though, if you were Triple H and you were looking at the AEW roster and you were like, who would I have my eyes on when their contract comes up? Listen, everyone has talked about MJF. I just don't know if MJF fits in WWE. Swerve would be seamless in WWE. Yeah. He would slide right back in and be a way bigger star than he was in NXT. Mm-hmm. And you could see Swerve, the Who's House, Swerve House being a top thing.
Huge thing, yeah.
Like, even some more like, yeah, it'd be cool to see Jon Moxley back in WWE, right? But like, that's going to wear out. The novelty of that will wear out. The Danielson same thing.
Yeah, he just signed a new contract.
Swerve, he walks back over to WWE. I mean, holy shit, the types of shit that he could get in. I just think he'd be a huge star. Yeah. Like, you could see Swerve walking down the ramp at WrestleMania to be in the main event. That's the type of star power I think this guy has.
For sure, yeah. They might be a little pissed off they dropped him in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, he leaves and Hit Row, which was a huge thing in NXT, just goes into the gutter because obviously he's the star.
And didn't they release Top Dollar?
Top Dollar got released. Yeah, the other two people are still there, but yeah.
So next up, Wheeler Yuta versus Absolute Ricky Starks. Two young dudes that both go hard. I mean, we've said it 1,000 times. We say it virtually every show. We're a Team Ricky podcast, and we were real high on Wheeler last year and earlier this year too. And he's found his little spot there with the Blackpool Combat Club. But in another year or two, this dude's going to be in the running for more titles. I feel like, though, there is a ceiling with Wheeler. There is no ceiling with Ricky Starks. Yeah. He doesn't have the charisma that Ricky has. His in-ring, he can go with anybody, I feel like, in-ring. Yeah, Wheeler is like to throw it back to like WCW, he's not as good in-ring as this guy yet. I mean, the dude I'm about to say is one of the all-time best, but Wheeler's like a Dean Malenko. He's just going to put on great matches, but the charisma's not really all the way there. I mean, Ricky Starks is a superstar. Ricky Starks is a guy that you could see on the bumper of the show. He could be on the side of the production trucks. He can, do the Make-A-Wishes with the kids. He can still get extremely over when he's trying to be a heel. Yeah, I mean, he is every facet of professional wrestling he is exceptional at. And at this point, you just have to ask yourself, where, again, with so many of these guys, where does he go from here? Obviously, he's still in his little tiff with Blackpool Combat Club. And he's got Big Bill by his side now, which is a good spot for him to be in. But yeah, this was a good match. I mean, it wasn't the best one on this card, but it did what it was supposed to do. Yeah, I mean, anytime you get Ricky in a ring, it's going to be entertaining. People love Ricky. It doesn't matter. Face, heel, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. Yeah. So next up, Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. A lot of technical wrestling happening here. How'd you feel about this match? I mean, I said it last week. Danielson just living it up. Listen, I saw a lot of people
Well, let me backtrack. I could see where people could watch this match and be like, this is boring. Because it's not the dives to the outside and it's not the crazy Canadian destroyers. But I think if you grew up watching wrestling, like my age, like I'm 33. So like when I really got hardcore into wrestling as a teenager, Ring of Honor was popping off. Ring of Honor was the shit. And this was the type of stuff Ring of Honor was doing.
Look, here's the thing. If you got a 3-hour show filled with spot fest, that's going to get boring real fast.
Yeah.
You need shit like this. That you need ebbs and flows, right?
Yeah.
In a show. And you need two dudes that are, Danielson may not be at the top of his game like he once was, but he's one of the fucking goats. And then you get a young dude like Zack Sabre Jr. and just letting Danielson go out there and cook, like having the time of his life.
This was confirmation though, when this match went on when it did, I was like, oh, Edge is going to pop up at the end of this thing. Because otherwise this would just go on last. I mean, Danielson is the Seattle guy. Anyway, back to this match though. I was a hog in heaven watching this match. This is right up my alley. The chain wrestling is just absolutely beautiful. It also didn't look, I saw some people online say that it looked a little bit more coordinated. I didn't feel that way at all watching this. It looked like both guys were reaching for holds. And clearly in the beginning, there was a respect for each other, right? Which is why they really wanted to see who the best technical wrestler was, which is why they weren't going for, any kind of punches or anything like that. Now, of course, that plays into the end of the match. And the aftermath of this match for Zack Sabre Jr. was like, I thought this was a submission match, and here you are throwing knee strikes. Like, this rivalry between these two is going to keep going. I would not be surprised if Danielson's not at Wrestle Kingdom in January. Probably either against Zack Sabre Jr. or Okada. Remember, he now has a victory over Okada. But this was just, I can't say enough great things about this match. This was everything I love about pro wrestling and then some. I
feel like if you give a shit about wrestling at all right now, like whenever you know that Danielson is announced for a match on TV or a pay-per-view for the next year until he, quote unquote, retires from full-time wrestling.
Yeah.
You just got to watch it.
But I will say, I could see how someone could watch this and be like, this ain't my jam. I don't like this.
Sure.
When they're going for, like I said, they're doing the arm drags and the octopus holds, they're exchanging stuff and they're rolling around in the ring. Like, I could just where you could be like, yeah, not my cup of tea. Give me Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes or something like that.
Yeah.
And again, you can't watch AEW. If you're being fair and critical of both companies, you can't watch AEW and you can't watch WWE and be like, both of these companies are trying to do the same thing.
Because they're not.
They're not. They're clearly not. And it's okay to like one more than you like the other. It's just you have to, you got to understand what they're trying to do here. Again, A24 and Disney or Jazz and Top 40 Radio. Like it is, there are just different things. Doesn't mean you can't enjoy both of them. And it doesn't mean you have to like, you have to pick sides, right? And have a tribalism, which we'll talk about. We talk about Edge because there was a lot of online hate, which I thought was just like, you want to think, you wonder why other people who don't like wrestling talk bad about wrestling and wrestling fans. It's because it was just a fucking bottom barrel conversation that was happening around this Edge thing, which we'll get to, I guess, coming up here.
It's kind of the same with anything almost, I would think, because like, I've got a saying, and I've said it multiple times on my Star Wars podcast, is that nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Star Wars fans are the fucking worst.
Wrestling fans are up there.
Wrestling fans are bad.
The
Alabama football
Yeah.
fans are terrible.
Yeah.
Like people who get too much, like I'm pretty into this shit, but like, people can ruin shit for you real fast if you let them.
If you let them. Yeah. If you let them.
So next up, the Trios grudge match with Jericho, Omega, and Ibushi versus the Don Callis family with Takeshita, Sammy Guevara, and Will Ospreay. kind of funny seeing Jericho and Omega team up. But they had a match. Was it Saturday night?
Together, it was Wednesday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it had a little chemistry there. So it's interesting to see those guys together after being arch rivals for several years. A lot going on in this kind of match. You get Takeshita, and I guess Sammy Guevara is never going to get that babyface turn. Or if he is, it ain't happening anytime soon.
Not happening now, no.
So, yeah, I mean, anytime you get Will Ospreay in a ring, it's going to be entertaining.
Yeah, I guess Ospreay is now like, what would you call him? Like the final boss of the Don Callis family. Like they kind of, Don is getting his minions.
Yeah.
He's got Sammy, he's got Takeshita. But when he needs a win, he makes the call and old Ospreay comes over. Yeah, Ospreay comes over. I'm done with Ibushi. I don't want to see any more of this guy.
You're over it.
He doesn't have it anymore. And it's okay. Age gets everybody. Father Time stays undefeated. He ain't at the level that what he was 10 years ago with these guys. So let's just let him go. I know he's, BFFs with Omega. I get all of it. I get all the Golden Lovers thing. I do not want to see this dude anymore because it's ruining what I liked about him in the first place watching him. I think this is a fantastic spot for Sammy. I think it's a great spot for Takeshita. And fast forwarding a little bit, because it makes sense now, Wednesday night we have Powerhouse Hobbs is now the newest member of the Don Callis family. Sign me the fuck up. That's a hell of a damn foursome.
Yeah, he's putting together quite a stable over there.
Yeah, and I love the entrance music with the fact that it's just that damn one note that is so annoying. I'm a huge fan of this heel faction. I'm all for the Don Callis family. They need a shirt. Hopefully it's not $120. Did you see that about the Don Callis shirt? Mm-mm. Don Callis, I believe it might not still be this way, but at one point a couple weeks ago, he had one shirt on ProWrestlingTees.com that was $110.
That's funny as shit.
Just because he can. Yeah.
That is funny. Because that's like, okay, let's see how many people notice this.
And he's painted himself. He had a new video Wednesday night where it's just Don Callis in the Last Supper. So, like, if my man somehow puts together 12 disciples of the Don Callis family, that's going to be a hell of a thing.
Yeah.
Hell of great. And it's good for Omega and Jericho. It keeps everybody fresh. And I like this rivalry. I just don't want to see Ibushi involved in it anymore, which is, I'm not going to get that. He's going to be involved in it, but yeah. And I get Ibushi when, Japanese, New Japan, Inoki. It all makes sense, but yeah, I'm kind of over this guy. I would have rather just seen like Ospreay and Takeshita versus Jericho and Omega.
Just give us that.
Yeah, just give us that with Sammy just bouncing around on the outside, cheering them on.
So next up, FTR versus Aussie Open for the AEW World Tag Team titles. Kind of a weird spot for this one. I don't think anybody expected Aussie Open to win. So it seems like it could have been earlier in the show, but whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, you're trying to, you want to kind of space out all the people, right? You don't want to run Danielson and then immediately run the TNT Championship. These four guys have good chemistry, but like you said, this was never in question, especially earlier now, knowing that the Young Bucks had won it, which happened before this match. You're like, oh, well, they're not going to do Young Bucks and Aussie Open,
Right.
So yeah, it kills the drama of the matches when the booking is so obvious what is going to happen.
Yeah, I went to bed. I should have stayed up. I went to bed at the start of the next match because I was like, all right, well, we're getting Adam Copeland. I was like, I feel like, and I was tired, and I was like, I could stay up, but I was like, it's 2 out of 3 match. We're talking about Christian Cage versus Darby Allin.
Yeah, we can just go ahead and skip to that.
Yeah, because I want to spend more time here anyway.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, there's a reason why you've got Christian Cage and Darby Allin closing the show. If it wasn't completely obvious. So I get up the next morning and I'm like, all right, let me scroll. Let me find AEW on Facebook and Twitter. Okay, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah. But I mean, what an entrance, you know?
Yeah, before we talk about it, listen, this match between Cage and Darby, just brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people talking about, did I just see Darby's back get broken on them steps?
Listen, like we said, that is Mr. Here for a good time, not a long time. But again, like we talked about, I don't know. That's just who this guy is. So like to try, if you're Tony Khan and you go to him and be like, hey, we don't need to do this, you run the risk, honestly, of like taking away an integral part of what his character is. His character is he's a fucking stuntman and he will do anything to try to win. And because of that, he puts himself in reckless situations where he gets fucking body slammed. They fucked up the body slam and then tried it again and then tried it again. Like,
so let me ask this, because we're like, okay, AEW is not the competition for WWE. It's its own brand. Like, that's kind of what Darby being Darby is kind of what makes AEW its own brand. But at the same time, like, I don't want to watch a man die on TV, but
you got to run it's a fine line, right? You got to run the line, which I think but again, if you're Tony, the appeal of a guy like Edge / Adam Copeland coming to your company, he even talked about it. What's the word he used? Freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of have to let these guys be who these guys are.
Did you see him talking about filming this?
Yeah, and hanging out the back of the truck.
Yeah, and how much fun he was having. He was like, I haven't had this much fun in forever. And he was talking about being in town. I saw this was another little clip. He's like, I was afraid people were going to notice me. And he was like, I hadn't eaten in 14 hours. I really wanted a cheeseburger. He's like, we went to this little place. I got my hoodie on. I got glasses. I'm like, reading a book. And he's like, this dude looks at me and it's like, I could tell he knew. And he said, I just looked at him and went,
keep it under wraps.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's how you get a guy like Edge to come over, is because there is an artistic freedom that he gets to do by being in this company. And so if you kind of have to keep walking that walk. You kind of have to if Darby's willing and is like, hey, I want to take a fucking body slam from the apron to the damn steel steps. And he's like, I can do it. I'll be fine. What are you going to do? Tell him no? And then like you risk having the product run stale and sanitize it. But at the same time, like you said, nobody fucking wants to watch a dude get paralyzed on TV. So that's a fine line that they're going to have to walk, that they continue to walk, Tony Khan and management, about some of the stuff that they let these guys do. But again, that's the stuff that WWE ain't doing,
Yeah.
And that's what makes it appealing for wrestlers to come over.
Ripping the ring up and going at it on the wood, bouncing off the wood in the ring.
Yeah, and we've seen that stuff before in WWE, but we have not. Let me put it this way. Nobody in WWE has taken that Darby Allin bump, body slam from the apron onto the steel steps. Nobody's doing that. Because they would just be like, are you fucking crazy? No, we're not going to do that.
And then I got to be at work tomorrow night.
Yeah, we fucking got to be in Idaho
fucking
the next
house
day.
Show?
Yeah, we're not doing that shit. So, anyway, Christian Cage got the win. And then the beatdown happens.
Yeah, he turned Nick Wayne heel like we thought was coming.
We thought was going to happen. A great spot for Nick Wayne, too. Because like I said, it just doesn't make sense, him being the white meat babyface. That's so boring. It's better for him to be with Christian Cage. And it'll be interesting to see what his explanation is when he finally gets a microphone and can say it. But yeah, man, Adam Copeland is in AEW. And this was kind of the tribalism I was hinting at earlier. I saw so many people online calling Adam Copeland and /Edge a traitor for going to AEW. They were like, oh, have fun in an arena of 2,000 people, just ignoring the fact, first of all, that AEW just had a show in England where they put 80,000 people in fucking stadium or whatever. But like, I don't know how you can watch Adam Copeland hit the ramp and come out Wednesday night and look like he's having the time of his life and somehow feel like he owed it to him to be in WWE for his entire life. Like, he has given fans, he sacrificed his body. Okay. The crazy shit that he has done over his 3+ decade career. Also, keep in mind, in 2011, all of this almost got ripped away from him for forever.
Mm-hmm. And that's not lost on him. He brought it up in the ring.
He brought it up multiple times. And like, again, when you don't view wrestlers and wrestling as an art form, you get idiotic takes like, oh, Edge should have stayed in WWE, blah, 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 blah.
You know, here's the funny thing about that is like, he made it clear in the press conference. He was like, WWE made it clear to me that they didn't have any long-term plans for me and didn't really have anything going on.
And again, that's not bad on WWE.
No, that's fine.
It's fine.
Like, he's given them 30 years. I mean, 20, you know,
20,
because of injury. But he gave them a major chunk of his life and vice versa. Like, WWE made that dude, like, what's he supposed to do? Go and maybe work a house show on a Saturday night sometime? He comes into here. I was trying to explain it to Jamie because, like, when they were doing the big package and stuff just a month or so ago, you know, and they were like, it was a rated R superstar, and they went through this, you know, visual history, and she's like, and she had seen the, you know, Edge and Finn Balor match, you know, with the Brood versus the Demon and all that. And she was like, I like that dude. And so when I told her about him coming in, and I was like, he's immediately in a top tier storyline with his best friend or one of his best friends.
Yeah.
And one of the 4 pillars of AEW.
Yeah.
You get a young talent like Nick Wayne. Yeah. And a fucking monstrosity of an athlete in Luchasaurus. This dude's having the fucking time of his life right now.
Right. And he
goes to work 1 day a week.
And they're going to let him do whatever he wants to do.
Or 2 if he wants to.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to go to fucking 4 cities a week.
Again, it's like, you know, I think about these dudes as artists, and there's just, at some point, you got to look around. You be like, man, I've made all the money in the world. What do I want to do? I just want to do cool shit. I want to be a part of a company where, like, I can have a promo on a Wednesday night, which he fucking nailed, by the way. Like, there is something about Edge coming to AEW where it's just like, he's such a professional. He's so fucking good. The gap between him and everybody else is gonna be, it's apparent now. Like, you can, he's in that promo and he feels natural, and you're like, okay, well, this is why this dude is one of the top fucking probably 30 wrestlers of all time. I would say. I need to sit down and lit, but he's up there. He's clearly like behind John Cena. In the John Cena era, he was the second biggest superstar. I mean, there's no question about that. And that promo was so good Wednesday. And like Christian's response, where he just hugs him and says, go fuck yourself. Yeah. They're not doing that in WWE. Yeah. So again, like, you got to look at the same thing with like Danielson. These guys just want to kind of have fun, especially when they're on the last leg of their career. Yeah. And so to look at that and to, on the one hand, be like, Edge is great, thank you so much for the memories, and on the other hand, be like, but fuck you for leaving WWE, you piece of shit traitor.
You can't have it both ways.
It can't be both ways. It just cannot be both ways. So again, the discourse around that was wild to me. There was a lot of those comments on Reddit and Twitter and all this kind of stuff like that.
I mean, I'm pumped as hell to see it. I didn't know much about Edge at all before he came back in the Rumble a few years ago. But just judging by the pop that he got that day, and then I started researching it, and I was like, oh shit, this dude has not wrestled in 9 years because he thought he couldn't anymore. Yeah. And then to see the show he put on with Randy Orton during COVID on the pay-per-view, like on top of fucking travel trailer, you know, went all through the goddamn performance center, like absolutely insane shit for a dude that like needs to be protecting his neck. Was like, fucking, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, right? And just like I said, to come in and immediately be in a top storyline, like why would you not wish that on somebody that you're rooting for?
And we brought this up whenever CM Punk was fired. We were like, well, if they know that Edge is going to come walking through the door in a couple months, not a bad trade-off.
Yeah. I mean, you got to feel like they knew.
Yeah. I mean, Edge had to put feelers out there, but like Edge for CM Punk, or CM Punk for Edge, I should say, rather. W for AEW, I think. Not only is a dude, he's just as big a star as what CM Punk is. Some people might be like, no, CM Punk was no, Edge is a bigger star.
The appeal for Punk was that it didn't look like he was going to wrestle. We would ever see Punk wrestle again. And I think there was the excitement about that. And plus, he's really fucking good with a microphone.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, I saw somebody say this morning or like late last night, it was like, Copeland spends less than a week with AEW and puts a better spear on somebody than he ever did. And he had a great fucking spear, but apparently he's, you know, everybody was like the spear he put on him last night was, or I guess it was whenever.
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Sunday. Saturday. But it was like, you know, they're like, you could tell how enthusiastic he is.
Yeah, he's hyped to be there. He's just as big of a star as what CM Punk was. We don't even have to question who's a better locker room leader. I mean, that is so far. I mean, shit. So,
yeah, I mean, that things like this add up, right? Like,
for
having
sure.
a dude like this in your locker room and having a dude like fucking Bryan Danielson in your locker room.
Yeah. CM Punk is addition by subtraction is what he is.
Yeah.
Getting him out of there is going to free a lot of stuff up. And again, when you have a guy like Edge who has been doing this at a top level for as long as what he has, no one has ever questioned what kind of character this guy is in terms of like his leadership behind the scenes.
Yeah.
This is just a win all across the board for AEW to get this guy in there. And so I'm stoked as shit for Adam Copeland. I'm stoked as shit as a fan just to see what this guy does. And again, he's going up right now in a feud with Christian, who at fucking 50 years old is somehow doing the best work of his entire career, and it's not even close. Christian Cage is on another level right now than anybody else. And his go fuck yourself line Wednesday was just, I mean, a cherry on top of what a great Sunday it was to have fucking Adam Copeland debut and now going forward. I've never been a fan of Luchasaurus, but when the camera was a little bit low Wednesday and out comes Luchasaurus and out comes Nick Wayne, I was like, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
This shit. I'm all invested.
Yeah.
Only thing, missed opportunity. Nick Wayne wasn't in a turtleneck. Come on, guys.
Come on.
What we got?
It's the little things.
It's a little thing. We got to get this dude in a turtleneck.
So we're 47 minutes in. We still got to get to WWE news. I do want to real quick say, what do you think is the solution to getting Christian Cage and Copeland in a team match together? Or do you think they're just like, we've did that. We've done that.
They will tag team at some point. Not anytime soon.
Yeah.
It will
It's going to take a minute.
It will be one of the last things
They do.
Copeland and Christian Cage do in AEW.
Yeah.
We'll do a one last run as a tag team, and we'll get one last 5-second pose, and you know they'll play the hits. But they're not. Edge isn't coming over here at this point right now to play the hits.
Yeah.
He's making a new album.
He's still got some juice.
Yeah.
So speaking of juice, real quick, we didn't talk about Collision yet. Saturday night, Wingspan 30 seconds. Andrade versus Juice Robinson, two of our favorites. Every Saturday night, we got to see Andrade.
Yeah.
And I don't know why he was off TV for a few weeks, but let's get more of this. And then we can transition into last night. Edge we talked a little bit about his promo.
Yeah.
Sorry, Adam Copeland pulled an MJF there. And then Tony Storm, right?
Timeless Tony Storm. The best thing happening in wrestling right now. All these people that gave in AEW shit for not having characters, and we did a little bit. We did it.
Guilty
As charged. But they have course corrected the ship, and by God, have they course corrected the ship. Fucking Neck Strong, which we talked about,
Neck
just
Strong.
brilliant. Timeless Tony Storm. It's crazy how much bigger of a star she is now, and how over this character is going to be. Is already over, and it's going to be over. And again, this woman was a 2-time champion. It's crazy how, like, you would think, like, okay, you're a 2-time champion. You kind of are what you are. And somehow she has reinvented herself. And whoever has helped her with this character, let that person do more writing on the show. Because this shit has been pitch perfect. Like, again, she is doing Sunset Boulevard. And it's the little bitty nuances, right? It's the smeared makeup. It's the fact that she's out there damn near, and it doesn't even look like wrestling gear.
Damn
right?
near
It's lingerie.
Yeah.
Okay, the black and white filter effect on her entrance. The fact that she throws Sky Blue out of the ring and looks at the camera and says, "And now a word from our sponsors." And then he does the
Titty slap.
Now time for a titty slap. Like chin up, tits out. These things are going to get over. She is going to be a massive star.
They did make shirts.
They'll keep making shirts. They
left off the watch out for the shoe.
They did leave out that part, which, kind of sucks. But at this point, the shoe stuff, I would be okay with her dropping. Just because
everything else has got
the smash close up before she does the hip attack. She's gonna be. She's already is the best thing in wrestling right now. The crowd reaction is gonna catch up to that. She's gonna be on the level crowd reaction of MJF here in about a month.
You think so?
Yes. People are going.
It's working.
People are going to eat this shit up.
But that's
every single woman that's going to be at an AEW show is going to have a Timeless Tony Storm signed T-shirt. She's about to be a big deal, so just get ready.
Yeah. Well, let's I think that's about it, really. We've spent 51 minutes talking about AEW. Do we need to get into WWE for a minute?
Yeah, we can get into LA Knight, John Cena tagging up.
Yeah, so let's start there. We can run back a little bit. So SmackDown last week, you got John Cena in the ring. Jimmy Uso's music hits. So then you get Jimmy, Solo, and Heyman coming to the ring, and then out comes our man's LA Knight coming to save Cena.
Huge pop.
Yeah, I mean we knew that was going to happen, but it was cool to see it happen.
Oh yeah, it's cool to see these two guys team up. Again, LA Knight, like I talked about a couple weeks ago, we wondered when LA Knight was going to win a championship. And we all thought it was going to be the U.S. title. And I guess credit to Triple H and his team. They were like, nah, small potatoes for this guy. This dude's going to challenge Roman Reigns soon. I mean, it will happen. I think he will be Roman Reigns' next challenger. My guess,
he's fully inserted into the bloodline storyline.
My guess is it happens at Royal Rumble. Is my guess. The Rumble will be headlined. Well, I wouldn't say headlined because it's always headlined by the Rumble itself. Roman Reigns will be defending his title against LA Knight at the Royal Rumble in January. That is my prediction. That's where I'm going with it. I'm sticking to it. This is a massive spot for LA Knight to be in. Again, it's crazy to rewind the clock back 6 months where this dude was at. And now he's going to fucking tag with damn John Cena.
They're finally selling the glasses, too, like you suggested.
Oh, yeah. You have to sell all the little stuff. There was a trend in wrestling that happened maybe 10 years ago. When you watch old school classic wrestling, everybody's got trunks and boots, right? Problem with trunks and boots is that you can't really cosplay as that for Halloween, and you're leaving a lot of money on the table. About 10 years ago, there was a concerted effort from WWE to be like, we kind of need these dudes to be wearing shit that people can fucking buy at Halloween. The Shield with the fucking bulletproof vest, the Bray Wyatt shit, the LA Knight, people dressing up like there's a testament to that when you can have people
I saw some
dress
sunglasses
up like that.
last night at the Halloween store that just screamed Macho Man.
Yeah.
And I almost bought them, but I was like, I'm not dressing up as Macho Man for Halloween.
Yeah, there were guys like Macho Man and Flair back in the day with the robes you could like dress up for as Halloween.
But that was not.
No. Now it's every star on the fucking roster is like that, Seth Rollins, you could get a huge ass, get some of the big ass red boots, and that big scarf and be Seth Rollins, or you can do the vest and the sunglasses like LA Knight. You can dress up like John Cena. You can be Roman Reigns.
I was
be the
stone
Shield.
cold a few years ago. I shaved my damn head.
Yeah. So, anyway, little tangent there, but yeah, I'm stoked about Fast Lane for it to just kind of be. Fast Lane is a little bit thrown together. It is a secondary pay-per-view. And, the difference between AEW secondary pay-per-views like WrestleDream and WWE ones is that, like, there's not going to be a Christian Cage and Darby Allin match where they tear up the fucking ring and shit like that and take crazy-ass bumps in WWE. There's not going to be a Danielson, Zack Sabre Jr. technical classic in WWE. WWE is the storytelling place. They do long-term stuff. And that's why going back to earlier in the podcast, why I said it kind of feels like they're in a little bit of a lull. they're just really waiting for Roman Reigns to get back. And maybe he shows up Saturday. I would not be surprised if he does not interject himself in this Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso match.
It's been a minute since he's been on TV.
Been a minute.
So we can
Survivor Series is right around the corner.
Yeah, true. Also from SmackDown, Rey Mysterio retains over Escobar. I kind of thought they'd put it on Escobar. And then at one point you're like, okay, well, is Escobar going to turn here? But then the Street Profits attack both of Escobar and Mysterio when Rey and Escobar are about to shake hands. Not much to say there other than the fact that, like, that one didn't really pan out the way I thought it was going to, but it's fine. Let Rey keep it for a little bit.
Again, they've tried to make LWO a thing. I don't know if it's caught on the States. Again, we don't know what it's doing in other parts of, Latin America and whatnot, but it doesn't feel like it's as big of a deal as what they wanted it to be.
Yeah. So fast forward to Raw, you get Jey Uso and the Judgment Day segment, and then we find out that Cody and Jey are going to face Damien and Finn at Fast Lane. This will be fun.
Yeah, this will be fun. No disrespect to Jimmy Uso, but seeing the two brothers separated, it's clear who the star is and who it isn't.
Yeah.
Again, no disrespect to Jimmy. Everybody can't do that. Jey Uso is absolutely fantastic. And he has really here in what's the last part of his career really blossomed into a single star and just kind of get it. He has a crazy connection with the fans.
Yeah, they go nuts for the dude.
They go nuts. And like I said a couple weeks ago, he is the divorced parent that got to keep the house and keep all the shit. He got to keep all the cool things. And he's tagging up with Cody Rhodes. I just don't see a scenario where they beat Judgment Day for these titles.
No.
I don't. So that's why some kind of smudge is happening for sure.
Fucking Dominic will intervene in some way or something.
Or this is probably a spot where Roman Reigns comes back.
Yeah.
Again, like if they wanted to do a kind of War Games match at Survivor Series, you could do, was it 5-on-5?
Yeah.
Roman, Solo, Jimmy, Finn, Priest versus Cody, Jey, Sammy, Kevin. Who would be their fifth? We're probably missing somebody. LA Knight? If you're going to do Roman Reigns?
Yeah.
So, that could be a good match.
And last on my list for the week was Gunther versus Ciampa for the Intercontinental title. I thought they were going to do that on Fastlane, but they're like, fuck it. We're doing it on Raw. Let's go.
Again, never felt Gunther's title was in any kind of jeopardy. We also got the return of, was this where Johnny Gargano came back to reunite DUI?
It was a fun match, though. I thought it was a good match.
Reunite DUI.
Yeah.
DIY.
Yeah.
I don't know if a PG company can have a tag team called DUI, but
they do have the Usos.
That's No, DIY, that'd be a cool tag team to see them reunited. That'll be fun if they have plans for them going forward. Gunther, like we talked about before we started recording, had that dark match with Seth Rollins. Could that be a WrestleMania main event preview? Kind of feels like it.
I think you're right. Like, the first thing I thought when I saw that was like, okay, well, Gunther's going to get that title.
Yeah, because they're doing Nakamura and Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins had a great promo Monday night. Nakamura continues to be great, but I thought a couple weeks ago they could possibly pull the trigger and have Nakamura just have like a pop-up title win, because I didn't really know if like the Rollins stuff was serious or not, if he was going to take some time off. It doesn't seem like now at this point that they have any plans to take the belt off Rollins anytime soon.
Right.
And again, who is there on Monday Night Raw that is the biggest heel on that show right now? It is Gunther. And it seems like a match made in heaven to put these two dudes into some kind of WrestleMania feud. And yeah, you're not just having those two dudes dark match a SmackDown. WWE is savvy about some of this stuff. They'll kind of gauge fan interest, right? So if they're thinking about like, hey, we could do Gunther and Seth for both titles at WrestleMania. Why don't we put that out there on the dark match? We know people are going to talk about it on the internet, and we'll gauge the interest and see if fans go crazy, then we know. And if they don't, maybe we go in a different direction. But it seems obvious at this point to put these two dudes against each other.
Yeah, it is a good way to kind of fit,
And I think they would have a great match.
put out feelers or whatever.
Yeah, I think that they would probably have. You would have to think if that match is on the card, you would look at it and be like, okay, this has the opportunity to be the best thing on the show.
It'd be a banger.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, I think unless you've got anything else, that's going to do it for
we
this
get
week.
NXT and Dynamite head-to-head next week.
Yeah, man. And Fast Lane Saturday night up against Collision.
I mean, I'll watch Fastlane. I love Collision, but I'll watch Fastlane. It's a PLE versus a regular show.
What I've been doing lately is getting up on Sunday morning and watching Collision because of, Saturday night college football. But I won't be around for football because unless something changes, we're going to be at New South Saturday night.
Yeah. But NXT is going head-to-head with Dynamite, and NXT has pulled out all the stops.
Yeah,
all the
they
stars
got
will be there
a
next
loaded,
Tuesday.
Loaded lineup of folks.
And Dynamite has responded. We're getting Swerve and Danielson Tuesday for.
Oh shit!
Yeah, you didn't see that?
I didn't see that.
Swerve and Danielson for the number one contender to the TNT Championship.
Yo.
So I mean, again, Danielson's dream match run continues.
Yeah.
That should be a banger. We'll have Edge is going to have his in-ring debut against Luchasaurus next Tuesday. And then fucking NXT is coming. Becky Lynch is going to wrestle, and John Cena is going to be there, and all the stars. I don't watch NXT that much just because it's literally too much wrestling at this point.
Right.
So, but NXT people have been talking about, from what I've read online, it's rolling along. It's a really good show right now, and the ratings have bumped up pretty significantly.
Yeah, when I started back, what was it, 4 years ago now, watching wrestling, a little over 4 years. A lot of people were like, you got to watch NXT. They're like, don't fucking watch WWE.
Well, 4 years ago, yeah. All the dudes you're now watching NXT were, close to it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's going to get it for us. Any quick college football insights from the weekend?
No, I mean, Colorado's done, so that's the story's kind of over, which we kind of we thought that would happen.
We had fun
right?
with it for a week or two, right?
It was good while it lasted. They're next year.
Did you see this? Fellow Alabama Take podcaster and my cousin Mallory McCormack, who hosts the Stare Down podcast. Did you see that she met Patrick Willis this weekend?
I did not.
So yeah, he retweeted her and shared something that she didn't put in her podcast or her blog page post on our page. Go to thealabamatake.com and look for the Stare Down. She met him, had a conversation with him at this thing on Friday night in Oxford. And then she said went circled back, and as he was leaving, somebody was like, hey, did you meet Mallory? Blah, blah, blah. And he was like, yeah, we talked earlier. And she was like, yeah, it's been really nice to meet you. I got to go. And he was like, hey, real quick, can I catch a ride to my friend's house? So she gives Patrick Willis a fucking lift to his friend's house. Yeah.
Patrick Willis was a dog.
Yeah.
That motherfucker was.
Yeah.
I think he played his last season at Ole Miss with a damn broken hand, and I just remember him with that cast.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he goes to San Francisco and has a Hall of Fame career. He'll be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
No question.
And then was like, hey, I'm out.
Well, yeah, a lot of players at that. I mean, the CTE thing is still a significant issue, and it's still a worrisome topic for a lot of NFL players. But he was on the front end. He was one of the big stars. It was I think he was the first big star that was like, nah, I'm out. And then Luke Kuechly followed.
Yeah. So what, he played 8 years or something like that?
I think it was 9.
Yeah.
9 with the Niners, and was just 31 years old.
Peace.
Still at the top of his game and was just out. So,
respect.
Respect. He made his money, and like I said, he's a Hall of Fame player for sure. Was the absolute, but one of the best at his position.
Yeah, she sent me the picture of the two of them, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Still in phenomenal shape.
Yeah,
still
dude could get out there and still fuck some people up.
Oh yeah. I don't know what he probably still run a 4.8. Probably still bench press about 400 something pounds. So yeah.
So yeah, go to thealabamatake.com and keep up with all of our other podcasts. We just mentioned that one. We've got another sports podcast called Taking on Sports, a weekly TV podcast called Taking It Down, with some other pop culture stuff sprinkled in there. Monthly book podcast called Check Your Shelf. by my lovely bride and her friend Jennifer Kimbrough. And then We Are a Star War. We're still putting those out. It's me and a couple of my best friends in the whole world. Just talking about Star Wars stuff. Ahsoka episodes are up now, with a couple more coming soon with the recap. I think we're going to try to record next week for the last 2 episodes. So anyway, we'll holler back at y'all next weekend, and what will hopefully be another very lively event in pro wrestling.
Later, guys.